Well, technically no, but I wanted to see if it was even the slightest bit possible to beat Super Mario Sunshine without touching water. You know, the game where there's water to your left, to your right, in the sky, in the walls, in the hotel, in the coral reefs, in the sprinklers, the waterfalls, the pools, all while you have a hyper-powered super soaker on your back. Do you really expect this game to be possible to be beaten without touching water? But, you technically can. Sorta. Our journey starts on Delfino Airstrip with succulent seafood, this icky paint-like goop, and we are as dry as a bone so far. We slide through the sludge, grab our trusty pal Flood, and...
Well, that was quick.
Yeah, so technically there are cutscenes in the game that force us to touch water, but I think we can all agree that this doesn't count, because I mean, I didn't touch any water. I wasn't even touching the controller. I was too busy, Oh, god damn it. But Zalem, you ask, if you have Flood, doesn't that mean that you're also constantly touching water? Well, Flood is a backpack, so with that logic applied, technically, I'm not the one touching water. That does raise a good point, though. If Mario uses any of his nozzles, is he actually touching the water? Well, with his normal nozzle, so long as you stand absolutely still, he doesn't appear to be touching any water. While this right here might look like water, Shadow Mario also has the same effect when he runs while he's holding something, and last time I checked, sweat isn't water. But no water does mean no power sliding, no walking while spraying, as you'll be walking over the water. You also can't use the back somersaults, all because of one teeny tiny little frame where Mario's nose is touching the water. No water also means no refilling up your tank, even though we do have these flood boxes here. Now, I'm no physics expert, so I don't know what's gonna happen if you mash these two things together, so for the sake of difficulty, I'm just gonna go with a flat nuh-uh. All in all, using the spray nozzle doesn't feel like it's gonna give us too much of a challenge. Now, let's go ahead and see what happens when we go over to test out the hover nozzle.
Well, that's gonna be a bit of a problem.
Now, hovering backwards doesn't seem too bad, but this also means that you can't overshoot anything. You also have to be careful that when you land, you don't land back on top of the water that you're spraying underneath you. Sure, you can make mistakes, but when that impulse kicks in from beating this game over 100 times during your childhood, this isn't gonna be as easy as I initially thought. So we spray the sludge-soaking sun on the strip, submit our souls to sleazy scumbags who say our shadow self sabotaged society and stole the shine sprites before soaking a second sludge and seeing our shadow self steal our sweetie. Normally this fight would take about 2 seconds, but I didn't know the spray spam doesn't touch Mario, and I didn't want to take any chances of running over water or running out of water too quickly. So after 3 trips around the block on the slowest 1-star chase I've ever seen, we head into Bianco Hills. Now, Bianco Hills gives us our first big problem. No, not because of the giant lake, no, not due to the running out of water, but right up past this shine sprite, we get to Petey Piranha. Now, Petey Piranha is usually not a problem on its own, but I kind of forget that once you satisfy someone at Nintendo's inflation fetish and ground pound Petey Piranha, you're touching water again. So I tried and tried and tried to jump away from him every single chance I could, but this dude would not stop spitting on me. Oh, okay. There's one. So if you line yourself up just right and hit Petey with a ground pound right near the edge of his stomach, Mario will slide off, allowing you to avoid the water completely. And let me just say, you've also got to be really lucky here, because that water coming out of Petey's mouth, it's mostly RNG, or at least that's what it seems like to me. After doing this 3 times and not having to reset to go all the way back in, as we're doing a perfectly executed run of Sunshine Waterless, Petey Piranha is down, and we have only acquired our second shine sprite in this game. Rest in peace, Petey Piranha. Gone, but definitely not forgotten. The hillside cave secret is a breeze, as we don't have Flood to help us out in the first place. Red Coins of the Windmill Village is a breeze that actively tries to kill you, and our long, not forgotten friend is back, and That was a lot easier than expected. Secret of the Dirty Lake is up next, and it looks intimidating until you realize that all that you have to do is jump over top of it. And before you ask, yes, I would consider this water because it is flowing, and also you can swim in it. And last but not least, we douse Shadow Mario, making Bianco Hills our first level that is 100% possible without touching water. And I promise you, this might seem easy now, but each level just gets harder and harder. After dousing the black sludge and saving Tom Nook's capitalistic step-cousin, we hop into my favorite level, Rico Harbor. We boop Gooper Blooper Snoot and grab the first shine of the level, but now we are onto Blooper's Surfing Safari, and if you've seen any speed runs of Super Mario Sunshine, you know exactly what we're about to do. Just not that clean. I'm not allowed to be that good at video games. We head into the sewers again, nail it on the first try, because why would I have any reason to lie? And now it's on to my favorite pastime, discussing speedrun strats. Now, normally for this star, you have to ride through this obstacle course on the back of a blooper and make it to the goal in 45 seconds. But the way the race course tracks your progress is by these 3 invisible checkpoints on the map. So, all we've got to do is make it up to the top, make sure we do it in under 45 seconds, and congratulations! You just wasted all of your time because the yellow blooper doesn't actually let Mario touch the water. After that, Rico Harbor is smooth sailing. We collect the cage shine sprite from down below, become a repeated victim of theft before facing our blooper nemesis once more and narrowly escaping a heart attack. Yet again, we jump on the backs of bloopers to gather red coins above the water. Now, when I say you can't touch the water, do make sure you don't veer too far off to the right or the left because you will touch the water if you turn too sharply. We douse our rival and head over to Gelato Beach because now it is time for the biggest time sink and frustration we have seen so far in this run. If you know anything about Super Mario Sunshine, you'll note that some of its biggest criticisms are the physics, the level design, the pachinko machine, the incredible voice acting, but the one I hear most often is mandatory chapters. You can't just get 70 stars and go fight Bowser, you have to finish every 7th chapter in every level, and then you unlock the final boss. But what's that?
A loophole.
Mission 8 is the Great Watermelon Festival, which is ultimately unimportant because the shine sprite is right in front of our eyes in every single episode. So if we can phase through the ceiling and clip through the hut, we can skip through all 6 chapters, one of which is truly impossible for the rules of this challenge, and grab our shine sprite without touching water. Yes! And we can't forget about Shadow Mario. We pop back to Princess Peach, who's preemptively practicing pummeling.
This part is terrible for plosives.
Before shooting off to the island of Pinna Park, and let's keep going. So that brings us to the most important question of the hour. If the game touches the water, does that mean that I didn't touch the water? If you set a rule for me that I'm not allowed to touch water and then you playfully splash a cup onto me, am I still following the rules that you set for me? Or have I still not touched the water at all? Write this down, it'll be on the test.
Oh, okay.
If the almighty Nintendo gods forcing us to get wet wasn't enough, Mecha Bowser is truly where this run starts to die. Avoid the sprinklers and get to the pool? Sure, that's not a problem. But after Shadow Mario's Evangelion transformation into Mecha Bowser, we've gotta fire these rockets, not made of water, and destroy Mecha Bowser from afar. However, if we go too far and encounter these sprinklers, are made of water, Mario gets wet, the run dies, and I only crave death just a little bit more than the normal amount. So after firing rocket after rocket after rocket and hearing this whistling sound about 500 times, I was starting to struggle. I tried shooting from the top of the roller coaster, but it just wouldn't hit. I tried shooting while going around the loop-de-loop and managed to hit it a few times, but every damn time, we would get right back to the sprinklers and it was right back to square one. After spending time doing this off-screen, after stream, and calculating the math to figure this out, I can unfortunately say without a shadow of a doubt that you cannot beat Super Mario Sunshine without touching water. Well, maybe you and I can't. Now, if you're SB Electric, or that is, if you're as accurate accurate as they are, there's a very tiny window in which you can hit Mecha Bowser while coming down the coaster. You have to fire off your rocket nozzle, look to the right, and spam spray behind you so we can re-grab the rocket nozzle that we just passed. Look forward and spray this second nozzle, but further down the track, we start spraying water again so we can pick up another nozzle further down the track. While that's being sprayed, we pick up a third nozzle at the top of the loop-de-loop just before the water hits the track further down, so that once that water hits the nozzle, you can grab the fourth rocket nozzle needed to defeat Mecha Bowser. And let me tell you, I was so close in my expedition, but I could only manage to hit Bowser 3 times. But if you're better than me, and you can fire off that rocket at just the right time, before the fourth rocket hits Bowser, the sprinkler will not touch you. At that point, the game forces you into the sprinkler anyways, so technically, it all depends on if you consider this a scripted event. And if you do, the game is still possible without touching water, and our dreams are still alive. So, even though I might be a disappointment in the eyes of my family, at least there's someone courageous enough out there to do the tasks that I don't have neither the skill nor the patience for. We jump over the pool before the Shine cutscene plays, so technically we're not the ones touching the water, before murderous Monty Mole tries to maul us malevolently before we get mugged like it's an average day in downtown Chicago. The red coins on the ship can give us a bit of a problem, seeing as it is right over the water, but that's nothing I can't handle, and then possibly handle again after clipping through the ship, and then handle just one last time for good measure. The flowers don't give us any issue other than this voice line, which I do have to ask, is it just me, or am I the only one who's had this sound effect living in their head rent-free since they were a kid? I'm not sure why, but everyone I ever see playing this game insists on going up the dev intended method. Even when I was a kid, I just spin jumped and hopped on over there before hurling homeboy to hydroelectric hell. This episode here doesn't even have water. Shadow Mario 4 took way too long, and looking back at this just makes me sad, but that is a-okay, because we are officially at the halfway point, and despite a couple hiccups here and there, it might look like this run might actually be possible. We return to Delfino Plaza and commit a robbery of our own to get our dopey little dinosaur. And now a question for you. If Yoshi first appears from Shadow Mario, who created all of these objects that melt away when they get wet, and Yoshi's also melt away when they get wet, which doesn't happen in any other game, is Delfino Plaza Yoshi actually Yoshi? Or are they just a manifestation of Shadow Mario? Oh no, you get the hell out of here! Serena Beach is up next, this time not dropping us into the water we're allergic to, and now we are on to the Manta Storm, which doesn't sound that hard on paper, but keep in mind, the goal here is to spray away the manta ray and hope and pray your water doesn't drain away, or else you'll get flung into the fray, and I mean, at that point you're just having a really bad day. But with a little bit of patience, we all get to celebrate as we get to discover one of life's most fulfilling fantasies, becoming an underpaid hotel employee. Ironically enough, we can't take the dev-intended method here on accounts of the ghosts pissing in the walls, so we click through the pool and grab the Shine Sprite before the cutscene plays. We fuel our gambling addiction and immediately face the repercussions of our actions before gambling yet again, and honestly, there's not really much to say here, so let's just fast forward to scrubbing Serena Beach. This level is hard enough all on its own, having to clear all of this sludge in less than 3 minutes. Couple that with limited water, the inability to hover backwards, standing still to spray, with pools of water you can accidentally step in, and the fact that I have to clear 99% of this sludge compared to the normal 95% because I'm playing on the 3D All-Stars version. I completely forgot about this level when going through this run-through, and I should have prepared for this a lot better. But after a quick 2 minutes and 1,364 seconds, Serena Beach has been scrubbed, and so has this bastard. Pianta Village is up next, opting to get up to the pipe by way of Yoshi rather than the rocket nozzle, and I'll be honest, that's the most exciting part about Pianta Village. There is nothing challenging about this level. Episodes 1, 4, and 6 are just clearing up the goop or calming the chain chomps. 2 and 6 don't even require the use of flood, which means the only thing left is the goopy inferno. And yeah, I might have gotten a little bit too cocky when trying to show off how not good I am at Super Mario Sunshine, but after beating ourselves for the 6th time today and locking another level down, it's now on to my favorite personal hellhole, Noki Bay, aka the last main level on our journey. and holy hell, that's a lot of water. The first episode has us scaling the cliffside, keeping dry while we uncork the waterfall, hurling bombs at our malevolent Monty Mole, before yet again having one final showdown with our nautical nemesis, Goopy Bloopy. Now, if you notice underneath our calamari adversary, we've got to find a way to either defeat Gooper Blooper without touching the water, or find a way around to this shine sprite underneath the waterfall. But we've been through 6 levels together so far, so you know I'm gonna pull out the speedrun strats and clip through this wall to the room hidden behind the waterfall. And with this shine sprite in hand, we are officially 5 short of the 44 we need to complete this game. And you know exactly what's coming next. Red coins in the bottle leaves us helpless with our first mandatory water touch. I thought maybe I could justify it by saying, well, Mario has a helmet on, but his sleeves are exposed, and to be honest, that'd just be disrespectful to everything we've done. I could make a one-time exception for this level in particular, but you know as well as I do exactly what's coming up right after this. So I ask you, if Mario is forced into the water against his will and to play the clip, then does that still count as a water touch? I don't know, but it sure makes for a fun challenge. We bottle up our resentment towards this impossible challenge and make our way to the Ely-Mouth Dentist, and there is no way that you can avoid ending up underwater for this level, but how can I use my exaggerated rule set to say that I didn't touch the water myself? I started out by spraying this boat by the dock with water to try and force myself into the loading zone, which didn't work because the loading zone sees that there's some object between Mario and the water itself. So what if I went up top and grabbed this spring to place it down and force me into the loading zone? And I mean, it works, but it still feels like I was the catalyst that made that happen. So I started trying to think way outside of the box. I tried using this bird that pops out by placing this spring here and hoping it would bounce me into the water somehow, but the sunshine gods were not kind to me, and it still didn't feel right because I'm still directly causing this action, which I realize is counterproductive to my entire cutscene rule, but then it hit me. Does Mario actually enter the cutscene when he hits the water? Or does it happen right before? And lo and behold, we've got a winner. But we're not out of the woods just yet, because we've got 3 episodes left until we unlock Corona Mountain, the final level in our arduous journey to beat this game without technically touching water. And I don't know about you, but that looks like a water touch to me. Alright, so technically, I'm not touching the controller right now. I haven't touched anything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and come here, we're gonna pause the game, and just back out of it. Because magically, whenever we come back into this game right here, I'm not sure why I'm making a big deal out of this. It's honestly not that impressive. But as impressive as that might be, we're not off the island just yet, because we still have to get through Corona Mountain, which surprisingly still has water in it. We take the long way around in a rickety ride that makes the Titanic feel like a lounge chair, and all we have left at this point is one final speedrunning trick. We use rocket storage to avoid water touching Mario's feet while skyrocketing into the cloud, and all that's standing between us and a waterless game is 1 Bowser and 5 hits of a ground pound. There we have it. After numerous attempts and a few too many loopholes, we have retained our hydrophobia and beaten Super Mario Sunshine without touching water. It may have taken some creative thinking and some technicalities, and sure, we may have not truly beaten Super Mario Sunshine without touching water, but it's not about bending the rules to fit a narrative. It's about sending a message and challenging yourself to take your favorite games and find new fun ways to play them. Not everybody's gonna agree with the rules you come up with, but as long as it's something that you can enjoy and makes the game that you've loved for so long more interesting, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. But with that question being said, all that's left to ask is, what game should I play next?